Could Africa become the world's next powerhouse within the span of a decade? It's a tantalizing prospect, isn't it? A continent rich in resources, teeming with youthful energy, and ripe for innovation stands at the brink of a new era. Africa, the world's second-largest continent, is home to 54 countries and boasts a population of over 1.3 billion people. It is a continent blessed with abundant natural resources, including over 30% of the world's mineral reserves. The continent has, over the past decade, experienced an economic upturn. 6 of the world's 10 fastest-growing economies in the past 10 years were African. However, the journey has not been without its challenges. Poverty, political instability, and health crises have held back the continent's potential. But what does the future hold for Africa in the next 10 years? The African economy is predicted to grow at an average rate of 4.5% per annum over the next decade, outpacing the global average. This growth will be driven by increased trade within the continent and with the rest of the world, thanks to the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area, which is expected to boost intra-African trade by over 50% by the end of the decade. Moreover, Africa's youthful population, with a median age of 19.7 years, presents an enormous potential workforce. By the end of the decade, Africa will have the world's largest working-age population, surpassing both China and India. The technology sector is also expected to flourish. The mobile penetration rate is already at 80% and is projected to reach 95% by the end of the decade. This, coupled with the rapidly expanding internet access, will lead to a digital revolution, transforming industries and creating millions of jobs. On the downside, Africa is also expected to bear the brunt of climate change. The continent is projected to experience a 2 to 3 degrees Celsius rise in temperature by the end of the decade, which could severely impact agriculture, a sector that employs over 60% of Africa's population. To summarize, the next decade will be a critical period for Africa. The continent is poised to experience significant economic growth, driven by increased trade, a burgeoning workforce, and a thriving technology sector. However, these gains could be offset by the devastating impacts of climate change. Africa's future, therefore, hinges on its ability to harness its potential while mitigating its challenges. It requires robust policies, sustainable practices, and international cooperation. Only then can Africa truly rise to become the world's next powerhouse. Indeed, the next 10 years could very well determine the course of Africa's destiny.